Hi, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to pick up where we left off. I'm glad to see you all again. We had just finished the chapter challenge, pages 130, 131, and 132. So if you can find that for me, if you can't find your paper, maybe it's in your locker or something, we can make do. From this point on, I'll try and send as much as I can through the internet to you. Number 1 says plant-like organisms that lack chlorophyll. That should be fungus or fungi. A virus that infects bacteria, bacteriophage, a way of grouping things together based on how they are similar. That is classification. Unicellular organisms that have a nucleus. I would accept 2 answers here. The best answer is protist or protista. You could also have fungi because there are yeasts that are unicellular and have a nucleus. The protein covering of a virus is a capsid. The science of classifying things is called taxonomy. Classification group made up of related phyla. The related phyla would be one step above phyla, which is kingdom. So kingdom is right above phylum. Unicellular organism that does not have a nucleus, that's bacteria and archaea. If you were going through the first part of the book, it's under Monera. Remember in class we talked about monarans have been removed and they now go under archaea or bacteria. Okay, it says explain how the words in each pair are related. Write your answers in complete sentences. You have genus and you have species. A genus is a related group of species. A species is a type of organism that is so closely related that it can reproduce amongst itself. Classification and taxonomy. Taxonomy is the study of classification. Classification is grouping of organisms. Capsid and virus. The capsid is the protein covering of a virus. And kingdom and phylum, you could say that the kingdom is the largest group of classification and that a phylum breaks up a kingdom, or you could say that a phylum has a larger group, or is a smaller group than a kingdom. Grouping things according to how they are alike is B, classification for number 1 on page 131. Scientists first learned about viral reproduction by studying C, bacteriophages. The oldest classification group is the largest classification group, is the kingdom. Today, most scientists accept a classification system with 7 kingdoms. 6 kingdoms, that's not even an option on there. They used to say 5, but now they go with 6. Organisms that look alike and can reproduce among themselves make up number 5 should be A, species. The kingdom made up of mostly single-celled organisms that have a real nucleus is the D, protist kingdom. The smallest classification group or level is the species. 2 groups of viruses are DNA viruses and RNA viruses, which seems appropriate now that we're talking all about this COVID-19 virus. Bacteria are, well, they used to be called monarans. So number 9 was A, although bacteria are a kingdom all to themselves now. Number 10, 2 parts of scientific name include the B, genus and species. 11 through 16 were true and false. Some scientists would like to make 2 kingdoms for fungi. That's the monarans. In fact, they've actually done that. It's now archaea and bacteria. So that one should have been false for number 11. 12. Taxonomy is the study of living things. That is also false. Taxonomy is the study of classification of living things. Number 13. There are 10 major classification groups for living things. That one should be 7. Kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. 14. Dogs and wolves belong to the same genus. That is true. It was on the picture if you turn back a couple pages. Scientists who classify living things are botanists. False. They are taxonomists. And the protein covering of a virus is called the capsid. That is true. If you were to discover a new species, how would you determine its classification? Things that you would look at. You would look at body shape, structure. How does it find its food? What types of cells does it have? Does it have a nucleus? Then more advanced people would now study the DNA and analyze its DNA and determine its classification that way. Why is taxonomy a complex subject? This is number 2 on page 132. We're constantly finding new species, and we're constantly finding out new information about old species that causes us to keep classifying them. Why is it difficult to treat an infection caused by a virus? This seems super important because viruses aren't alive. They don't have cells, so we can't just kill their cells. I'm sure all of you guys have seen all of this stuff about this COVID-19. Because it's a virus, we just can't up and kill it. Our bodies will make antibodies to kill foreign invading viruses, but you have to be exposed to the virus first. The problem is, you could die on the first try. So those of us who are wondering why we've been quarantined so long, they don't have a real good medicine yet to kill this virus. The only thing they can do is hope to let our bodies develop what we call immunity to the virus. Why do scientists classify organisms? Or what do scientists use to classify? They use DNA, they use microscopes, they use pictures, they use feeding habits, things like that. Fungi were once called non-green plants. Why do you think fungi were described in this way? Well, mushrooms kind of look like plants, so they thought they were plants. Mold and mildew are already green. So having mold and mildew that are green also led people to think that they were some type of moss. Okay, we are down to this diagram right there. What is shown in diagram A? That is a bacteriophage. That was number 7. 7 was a bacteriophage. What is shown? That's viral reproduction is number 6. 8, what is labeled B? That's the bacteria. What is happening in step 2? That is the bacteriophage injecting its DNA into the cell. And in step 5, which is over here, that's called lysis. That's where the cell explodes and kills your cells. And then those viruses go out and infect more of your cells. So it's kind of a scary thing to talk about based on what we're doing, but this section really applies to what we've been doing. That should take you to the end of the chapter challenge. So you won't have a lot of written work to do. Just fix your answers on your paper. I would like you guys to try and play the chapter review game that is in the GimKit codes that I sent out. I'll send them out again. I would love to try and do a quiz Monday of next week in your test later in the week. I'll have to look at what your online game scores are. Possibly to Friday afternoon we'll play the online game together. I'm letting this out there now. Let's shoot for our class time is 2 o'clock in the afternoon. If we could play the game at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, all as a class from your remote sites, from your houses, your homes, that would be really cool. And that's all for today, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Stay safe.